We often hear a simple story one told around Thanksgiving tables and in elementary school classrooms. In this tale, a kind Native American man named Squanto appears as if from nowhere, a friendly guide sent by Providence to help the struggling Pilgrims. He finds them starving and lost in a new world, and with a gentle spirit, he teaches them how to survive, ensuring the success of Plymouth Colony. This image of a simple and selfless helper has become a cornerstone of America's founding myth. It is a comforting story, one of peace and cooperation, a picture of two cultures meeting with little friction. But history is rarely so simple, and the truth is often a far more complicated and heart-wrenching narrative. The real story of the man called Squanto is not one of a simple guide, but of a survivor who had endured immense trauma and loss. Long before the Mayflower's sails appeared on the horizon, the man we know as Squanto lived a life deeply rooted in his homeland. His name was Tisquantum, a member of the Patuxet people within the Wampanoag Nation. His home was a vibrant coastal community of seasonal rhythms and ancient traditions. Near modern-day Plymouth, the village thrived with forests, rivers, and fertile fields. He learned to track game, to build canoes, and to read the stars. He mastered fishing with lines, nets, and weirs to trap herring as they ran upstream. His education was observation and practice, rooted in land, water, and seasons. The Patuxet were part of a sophisticated network of trade and diplomacy. He knew paths between villages, greetings, and how to negotiate agreements. This was not a primitive wilderness, but a well-ordered society with laws, beliefs, and deep history. Life on the coast meant occasional contact with outsiders, curiosity, trade, and sometimes violence. They learned about newcomers as newcomers learned about them, until a brutal betrayal shattered this tentative balance. The year was 1614, 6 years before Plymouth. Thomas Hunt, working for Captain John Smith, anchored off Patuxet under the guise of trade. He lured about 20 men, including Tisquantum, aboard with promises of commerce. Once aboard, they were seized, bound, and imprisoned below deck. The shock and terror were unimaginable. The voyage was harrowing, dark, cramped, unsanitary. They were treated as cargo to be sold. In Spain, Hunt tried to sell them, but Franciscan friars intervened. Their compassion spared Tisquantum a life of slavery, though he remained in exile. In Europe, first Spain, later England, Tisquantum learned English out of necessity. By listening, mimicking, and practicing, he pieced together their language. This hard-won skill made him unique. It gave him a voice, and would one day make him a bridge between two worlds on the shores of his lost home. After years in Europe, Tisquantum found passage back, likely as a guide or interpreter. Around 1619, he returned to Patuxet. He was met by a silence more terrifying than any storm. His village was gone, fields choked with weeds, shore eerily quiet. He returned to a graveyard. A plague, likely smallpox or leptospirosis, had swept the coast between 1616 and 1619. Historians call it the Great Dying. Up to 90% perished. For Tisquantum, the loss was absolute. Parents, siblings, friends, elders. He was, in a very real sense, the last of the Patuxet. He sought refuge with Massasoit, the Wampanoag sachem, who viewed him with wary respect. He spoke English and had lived among them, making him valuable and suspect. For a time, he was kept as a ward, an outsider whose knowledge could help or harm. In late 1620, the Pilgrims arrived aboard the Mayflower. They landed beside the abandoned village, Tisquantum's former home, and named their settlement Plymouth. Unprepared, weakened, starving, nearly half died that winter. Then Samoset walked into their settlement and greeted them in broken English. He soon returned with Tisquantum. Tisquantum spoke English fluently and became the crucial link between the groups. He taught them to plant corn, fertilizing with herring. He showed beans and squash, the three sisters, complementary and resilient. He pointed out where to fish and how to catch eels in the mud. He identified edible native plants and warned of the poisonous. As guide and interpreter, his direct, practical instruction likely kept Plymouth alive into the next year. Why did Tisquantum help? There is no simple answer. He had lost his community, and with it, protection and status. Aligning with the Pilgrims offered security and a new, if strange, community. As interpreter and go-between, he gained influence he otherwise could not have. He became indispensable. He shaped perceptions and controlled information. Power for a once powerless man. He may have leveraged English strength to elevate his status among the Wampanoag. Some accounts say he claimed the English could unleash plague, sowing fear to build influence. He also sought balance against powerful rivals like the Narragansett. Middleman meant power and danger. Every word filtered through him. The Pilgrims relied on him yet doubted his loyalties. Massasoit valued him but feared his ambition. Others saw a traitor. In 1621, Corbitant seized Tisquantum. Hobbamock escaped to alert Plymouth. Standish's swift rescue proved Tisquantum's value and deepened divisions. When Tisquantum tried to turn sides against each other, Massasoit exposed the lie and demanded his execution. The Pilgrims refused. They still needed him. Beyond politics, Tisquantum's practical knowledge had undeniable impact. It was a sophisticated system of agriculture and resource management, perfected over millennia. Corn, unknown in Europe, became the colony's staple. Fish fertilizer transformed poor sandy fields into productive plots. The annual herring migration supplied nitrogen and crucial minerals. The three sisters created a symbiotic, sustainable system. Corn gives structure, beans return nitrogen, squash shades soil and suppresses weeds. A diverse, balanced diet from a single plot. This transfer of knowledge let Plymouth take root. It underpinned the 1621 harvest feast, later mythologized as Thanksgiving. During the long formative years of the colony, records show survival depended on Tisquantum's expertise. He was not merely a guide, but a teacher of agriculture, ecology, and survival in an unforgiving land. In November 1622, while on a trading expedition, Tisquantum fell ill. He developed a fever and nosebleed, what Bradford called an Indian fever. Some suspected poisoning, others, another European disease. Dying, he asked Bradford to pray and willed his few possessions to English friends. Over time, trauma and complexity were smoothed away, replaced by a smiling Thanksgiving caricature. That caricature bears little resemblance to the real man. Remembering Tisquantum truthfully matters now more than ever. His life forces us to face colonial-era violence, disease, and cultural destruction. He stood at the crossroads of history, defined by loss, not defeated by it. By honoring his full complexity, a captive, interpreter, schemer, teacher, and last voice of his people, we cross a bridge of sorrow and skill toward a more honest past.